Do you think the Raiders can win the division? Welcome back, Raider Nation, and my champions. This is Eric, and we are back live once again on a Friday evening. How are you guys doing out there tonight, TGIF? Hope your week went well. I hope your weekend goes even better. And tonight, we're going to be talking about the AFC West. We're going to be looking at these three teams right here. I'm going to tell you what I think of their moves in the offseason, and then I'm going to give you my prediction of how I think things are going to shake out in this division in the upcoming season in 2023. I want to say hello to you guys. I see some people popping in and out just like we normally do. We have some people coming in. We just started the program. I want to say hello to you guys. And afterwards, of course, we will be opening up the live chat right there. I have it as the pinned comment. If you want to come on board, you go there, click the link. You'll go into the green room once we get into the question and answer segment. If you want to talk about Raiders, whatever, you do not have to have your cam on. Of course, you will need a mic. Talk about the Raiders. Talk about what you think about this division. Are the Chiefs going to be staying on top of the heap again? We have, 7 times in a row defending Super Bowl champions? Or is there going to be another winner here, divisional winner? Could it be the Raiders? Let's see. Let's say hello. Let's see. Get people coming in here. How you guys doing? Get a little shout out right here before we get into the program. How you guys doing out there tonight? See some people in here. So anyway, we're going to get on with this program. And if you are new here, this is how we normally do it. This is what we have. We call the rundown here. These are the topics we're going to be talking about for this particular live stream. And then we're going to turn it over to you in our question and answer segment. But I want to first talk about you guys, my champions.
I hear everyone say it. Take what they give you. We're going to take what we want.
Now, as far as champions goes, channel is growing slowly but surely. We are on multiple platforms, including Patreon. If you want to give a little bit of tip in the tip jar, we will be doing extra content, especially once we get into training camp and the season itself. So get on board with that. I would highly appreciate it, and I do appreciate you guys coming out and watching. Now, as we normally do, we have a weekly poll of the week, and it pertains to our actual topic here, and that's the AFC West itself, like we normally do. And I want to ask you guys straight up, who you think would win the AFC West this year? And a lot of you said the Raiders. Now, there's some naysayers in the comments. You want to read those. About 60-40 with the Chiefs to the Raiders. Now, the Chargers and Denver got some votes here. But, however, a lot of fans, I think there's a lot of optimism, especially in the offseason. Everybody's undefeated, and it kind of thrives. We got a new quarterback in place with Jimmy G. We drafted a quarterback, possibly the future with Aiden O'Connell. So I think the optimism is running high here, and quite frankly, if Josh McDaniels puts out another stinker like he did last season at 6-11, I mean, there's going to be serious questions about his job here in 2024. So I will give you my opinion on this after we review the other three teams as far as who I think is going to win the AFC West this year, so stay tuned. Now, there's one other thing I wanted to note. Now, it doesn't have anything to do with the Raiders, of course, but I would be remiss without mentioning this, and that is the passing of Jim Brown. That just happened, came out today, of course, all-world running back. I mean, before Jerry Rice was around, everybody would say he was the greatest football player of all time. Now maybe some people are saying Tom Brady. In the league, 9 years, had 8 rushing titles, a few NFL championships, of course. This was in the early 60s, before the Super Bowls and all that. absolute stud. Not only that, came out of Syracuse, but he was also a stud at lacrosse, if you didn't know that. Foundational piece for the Cleveland Browns and that organization. And then he went on to Hollywood and some other things, Running Man. I think The Dirty Dozen, he was in that, a few other movies. So as far as the football standpoint, one of the greatest running backs of all time. If not, he's definitely in the argument there. Big guy, beast, running people over. If you haven't seen any of his videos, I would go take a look at that after the program tonight and get a full appreciation of this guy. Now that said, let's get right on to what we want to talk about here, and that is this division, and see how they stack up and what they've done. Yes, indeed. Art White says, R.I.P. Jim Brown, when football was real football. Absolutely. I mean, that guy was absolute beast. Like I said, me growing up, they used to always say he was the greatest of all time. Then Walter came around, then Emmett, and then you go from there. So, just absolutely dominated when he played the sport. But that said, let's get to what we're going to talk about. How you guys doing out there tonight? Let's get to this review now. We're going to do things a little bit differently tonight. I'll explain that after we go through this. Now, I pulled some pages, and we're going to go look at Wikipedia now. They come out with pretty good statistics in that, and from other sites, I think they kind of combine everything I want to talk about with each team. Then we're going to go to PFF, look at some things, and then we're going to go to the salary cap and take a look at that as well, look at the schedule, and then kind of wrap all this up after we go through the other three teams and give you my opinion on this. So let's go first with the defending divisional champs and, of course, Super Bowl champs, Kansas City Chiefs. What's up to you, Dominique? Good to see you in here. See you guys coming right on in here. So the first thing I want to talk about with the Chiefs, of course, is the personnel changes and the coaching staff, and then we'll talk about the player changes. So to be honest with you, I know Eric Bieniemy left basically a lateral job with the Commanders. I don't think that's a huge deal. I think Andy Reid was basically calling the plays anyway for the most part. Now, Matt Nagy's back. We talked about that. He came back last season, did terrible with Chicago Bears as a head coach. Did pretty well on the offensive side with the Chiefs before he took off to be a head coach. So maybe that's where it's at. I mean, some coaches can't be head coaches, but they're still great coordinators. So I think this is just going to be... There's going to be pretty much a fluid transition here. No big deal. As far as that goes, I'm not going to worry about that. Chad Henning retired. So what KC players lost in the offseason? A few I want to talk about. Of course, we're going to talk about Orlando Brown Jr., the guy they basically rented for buku bucks on the left side. And it worked out. They got themselves a Super Bowl championship. Played lights out, let's be honest. Covering Patrick's blind side. Absolute stud. Now, this one's a little bit of a surprise. I think they just kind of ran out of money. Frank Clark, edge rusher, has been released, unfortunately for them. But we'll talk about what the replacements here in a minute. And you could probably talk about Juan Thornhill, but Andrew Wiley was a right tackle. Now, you remember this guy. He was from Eastern Michigan, just like Max Crosby, and they had a little rivalry with that. To be honest with you, Wiley probably had the better of that overall, let's be honest. But both offensive starting tackles are gone for the Chiefs. So what are they going to do here? I'm not going to worry about the futures. Let's look at the players that they have added in free agency, and we'll talk a little bit about the draft as well. The big ones we're going to talk about, of course, Jawan Taylor, opening up the pocketbook for him. Now, when we get to PFF in the lineup, they got him at right tackle. I don't see how you're going to pay that much money to a right tackle and they have Donovan Smith on the left side. We'll talk about that in a minute. And also, Omenahu, who used to play for Houston, got about 4 or 5 sacks a year on a shitty team. Then he went to San Francisco. I think he got 4.5 last year. Is that going to totally replace Frank Clark? Not so much, but they have done some other things. Of course, we'll talk about that in a minute. And then Drew Tranquill. This is a guy who I don't like because he's a pain in our ass as far as the Raiders when he was with the Chargers, rushing the quarterback, and inside linebacker. Kind of can do a little bit of everything, so I think that's a great pickup for them. And Rich kind of got richer here, to be honest with you. And then the draft here, they drafted an edge rusher in the first round at the end. Got a bigger type wide receiver here. And they didn't have a whole lot of picks, but you know what? They didn't really need them. I mean, they're pretty loaded, and we'll look at that lineup in a minute. Don't worry about the UDFAs. And I want to get to the schedule here, and a few things I want to note here. And I get back to last week when we did the Schedule 1.0 and my predictions. They're going to have a tough game with Miami here. It's going to be in Germany. If Tua's playing, that's going to be a high-flying type game. They got to travel thousands of miles to Europe, of course, and then come back. They do have a bye week, and then they got to have a rematch with the NFC champions like they did in the Super Bowl, Philadelphia Eagles. They're at home. That's going to be a hell of a game. So I'm thinking if we're going to beat this team, it's got to be right here. I don't see us beating them on Christmas Day in their house on national television. It's not going to happen. So if we're going to take them, we got to go right here. And then they got some other teams, some Buffalo, Cincinnati, of course, division rivals. New England can be a little scrappy. I'm not so sure about Mac Jones. So not the easiest schedule, especially down the stretch for them. So I'm hoping we can get that game and split like I said last week. Now let's get to the PFF lineup. So this is from Pro Football Focus. So let's first look at the offensive side of the ball. Thuney they got last season. Creed Humphrey, I believe they spent a first or second round pick on center, doing pretty well. And we'll talk about a little bit about that as far as general managers go. When you pick well and you don't have to dump a lot of cap, you have room for things and things go a lot better for you. And we'll look at their salary cap in a minute, to be honest with you. Raider Wolf says, wait, I missed it. Who's going thousands of miles? The Chiefs. They play Miami in Germany. It's one of those Europe games that the NFL likes to promote. They have it and always having it in London as well with the Jags. They do some Mexico City as well, but they got to go to Germany. Then they get a bye, and then they got to play the Eagles in a Super Bowl rematch at their house on national TV, and then they come to our house. And that's why I'm saying, if we can get these guys, they'd be right for the picking. We're not going to win that. I don't think we're going to win that Christmas Day game. No way in hell. So if we're going to beat them and split, we got to get that. As far as this goes, I'm going to look at the offensive side right now. Juwan Taylor, I move him to the left side, switch these guys. Of course, they got the weaponry. Rice is going to be a nice big target for Mahomes. Now, a couple things we got to do, as always, get to Mahomes. You got to get to the quarterback, and I think that's why we drafted Tyree Wilson first round. Is it going to work? I don't know, to be honest with you. This is probably one of the more complete teams in the league, not just the AFC West. I'll get to the defense in a minute. But also, we got to slow down Jerick McKinnon. He's back. Pass-catching type running back. Now, they got Isaiah Pacheco, who basically took Clyde Edwards-Hilaire's job. So I'm more concerned with this guy right here. I know we kind of neutralized him on that last game we played. But running backs catching the ball out of the flat have hurt us badly. But Pacheco's a smaller kind of a darting running back between the tackles. And the defensive line is really going to have their work cut out for them, not only to get to Mahomes, but to contain these running backs. Now, as far as the defensive side of the ball goes, I'm going to say it right now, this is probably the best defense in the division overall, top to bottom. Now, they did lose Juan Thornhill, still have Reed, got some pretty good corners right here. Very solid linebacking core. Young have drafted pretty well. Wooly Gay Bolton. They got Tranquill in free agency. They moved Chris Jones in, which makes total sense. He's better at defensive tackle than end. They got Carr, I believe, 2 years ago, first-round draft pick. And Menahu in free agency. And Nadi, I think, is very underrated. He's 37. I don't buy that with a PFF grade. And they're going to be tough. They're going to be tough to stop. They're going to be tough to stop the pass rush. And these linebackers are going to be all over the running backs. This is going to be a very, very difficult test, of course. They are the defending champs. It is what it is. So it's going to be very interesting to see that first game in Las Vegas and how we fare against them. Now let's get to one more thing. I want to talk about the Chiefs, and this is SpotTrack.com. Very briefly, I want to look at how they're spending their money. Of course, Mahomes, number one, arguably the best player in the league, quarterback league. That makes sense to me. Chris Jones, stud, DT, and then some other players they have now. As far as the cap room goes, they go to the top 51. Now, remember, we have 53-man roster at the end, so you add a couple more, that's about $1.5 million. You're going to get low veterans at the bottom end of the roster anyway, so they're right there. They don't really have much cap space. I don't think they're going to be a problem with the cap space, but as far as that goes, unless they'd made some serious moves to pick up free agency, I don't see it happening. Quite frankly, they don't need to because they're so darn good. Now let's get to the Chargers. Now this team finished second, 10-7 record. Again, to me, they underachieved again, and it's due to this idiot right here, Brandon Staley, their head coach, who's still there. I mean, they can't even get a picture of the guy. If you want to look at one of my other videos back in the day with a little clown face, I mean, he's not there at all. So let's see. Raider Wolf says Mahomes will have a down year, get caught off guard. We keep hoping that. We keep hoping it. Haven't seen it yet. And to be honest with you, the Chiefs do very well from top to bottom as far as personnel goes. Drafting, the free agents with Orlando Brown was awesome, getting that 1-year rental for them to cover Patrick Mahomes. And, of course, the coaching. I mean, Andy Reid, I saw something, I don't know if it's ESPN or something, they ranked all the head coaches from the year 2000 on, and they put Andy Reid like 4th or 5th. They had like Mike Tomlin ahead of him. I'm like, are you kidding? I'm not a Chiefs fan. Don't get me wrong, but you got to give credit where credit is due. Not only did he get 2 rings with the Chiefs, he also did some damage with the Philadelphia Eagles. I think won 4 went to 4 NFC Championship games in a row, I think, or 5. Went to 1 Super Bowl, he lost. But still, overall, I think he's number 2, of course, to Belichick. So you got to give credit where credit is due. Let's be honest here, and that's the only way we're going to be able to beat this team. So let's get to the next one, the underachieving San Diego, LA Chargers, whatever they are now. So as far now, they mix this up a little bit, and I don't know why Wikipedia did this. They started with the players, and then they go to the staff, front office and staff. So let's get to the players. The significant ones I want to talk about is Nasir Adderley, a former, I think, first-round pick, second-round pick of theirs, free safety, retired after 4 years, said, had enough, It is what it is. And Drew Tranquill, like I said, I like Drew Tranquill. He's a pain in the butt, and I wish we could have got that guy, but now he's on another rival team. Like I said, I'm not worried about the futures. They did get in Eric Kendricks. We'll talk about that when we look at the rosters in a minute. Matt Feller's gone. They did extend Justin Herbert, so this will be his 4th season coming up. So, of course, he's a first-round pick. It's a 5 year, so they did exercise the 5th year option already. So they got 2 more years. So we'll look at the salary cap, and I'll show you why. Not really worried about that as far as the Chargers front end or front office, because he's still on the rookie contract. As far as the draft goes, Quentin Johnson makes complete sense. They need wide receivers, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. Now, they do have some good wide receivers. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, they're getting a little longer in the tooth. They're getting a little more banged up. I think it's a good transition to get over there. They got Tulio. I know a lot of you guys liked him. And then inside linebacker, Dean and Henley. So I think they're trying to work on this. Now, of course, they run a 3-4. So they got an inside, they got an outside linebacker, and we'll talk about that in a minute. Don't worry about that. Undrafted free agents. The only one is Tywan Mullen. That's Trayvon's brother, if you want to look at that. We'll see if they actually make the team. Again, like 90% of the time, they don't even make the team, so why even bother with it? Now, coaching changes. Joe Lombardi got fired, the offensive coordinator. We talked about him before. I believe he's the grandson of Vince Lombardi. We'll talk about him very shortly with the next team, as that's where he went. So it looks like they purged a lot of the offensive side of the ball. Herbert did take a step back last season versus 2 years ago, where he was kind of in MVP talks at one point in the 2022 season, not so much last year. So you can kind of see that, and this might be the last gasp for Brandon Staley. Let's be honest here. If he lasts past this year, I would be surprised, unless they do really well. And now I want to get into their schedule. A couple things I want to talk about. And I talked about this in the predictions last week as far as our schedule 1.0. They could very well be 0-3 here when they meet us. They're going to be very desperate. I think they'll win this game. I think we'll split. But they're going to be coming home. Miami's going to be a tough out. Tennessee still has Derrick Henry. Minnesota is a high-powered offense. I'm looking at 1-2 for those guys, so they're going to need this one. And that schedule does not get any better if you look at this. They got Dallas after the bye, who I think is going to be improved. Had some injuries. They got Brandon Cooks as another weapon. Then the Chiefs, of course. The Bears should be a little bit better. They're going to be hard to contain. Chargers not that great against the run. And you got Justin Fields there. Hello. What's up to you, Astro One? I see you in here. Officer Roll, it says KC-15 going to have a rough year. Other trips to Jacksonville. Oh, God. Baltimore and New England. This is going to be a cold game in December. Denver's not going to be easy. And then they got Denver and Mile High on New Year's Eve. Buffalo, the Chiefs again, and us. I could see this kind of tail spinning for the Chargers. Let's be honest here. I think the front end of the schedule is a little rough for them. I think the back end of the schedule is a little rough for them. Now remember, Austin Eckler still with the team technically, but they've asked. He's asked to request a trade, and they've granted him to go look for another suitor. So there's not a great relationship there, and he is a huge weapon on offense. Let's be honest here. Let's see. That's all I want to see about that. Let's go to the PFF lineups. Where are you at? I don't know why it was all the way down there. Let's take a look at these lineups. Of course, I talked about Eckler. Herbert's here. 5th-year deal. They don't really have to worry about him until after next offseason to get him to an extension. We'll look at that in the salary cap. Rashawn Slater, first-round pick, absolute stud. That was a great pickup. Lindsley, a free agent from Green Bay, not bad. Pipkins has been okay. I think that's a little harsh. I would put him around average. Everett was pretty good with the Rams. Didn't do a whole lot last year with them. And of course, Williams, Keenan Allen, and then the rookie here. I think the big thing here is to kind of slow down Austin Eckler if he's still here. I'm a little concerned. We're going to have to get to Herbert. He has a very quick release, which is a problem. I think Mahomes has more of an unconventional sidearm release. He can also scramble. Herbert can too, but of course Mahomes can do that a lot more. Herbert's got, like I said, a quick release. It's going to be hard to get to the quarterback, and he's got these offensive weapons at wide out. And, is Keenan Allen going to stay healthy? That's going to be a big question. But, again, we're back to the pass rush. Is this why we got Tyree Wilson early? No confidence in Chandler Jones, building for the future opposite Max Crosby. Let's get to the defensive side of the ball now. I talked about this last year, and I feel kind of the same way as I did last year if you're here with us. 3-4 defense, using the defensive ends kind of as an outside line. I don't know why it says nickel. What? I had that switched over. There we go. 3-4. Here we go. So they get the linebackers. Of course, Khalil Mack. I talked about him possibly being a free agent. They restructured. They saved about $8 or $10 million on their cap. I guess Mack wanted to still be there. Not the same player as he was with us, let's be honest, or early on with Chicago, but still pretty good stud. Joey Bosa's good, but he's been getting nicked up lately, let's be honest. But if they're both healthy, they're going to be a pain in the ass for us. Corners, J.C. Jackson, free agent, mercenary basically. Was hurt most of the time, kind of wasted their money on that. Sante Samuel Jr., high draft pick, very good. Derwin James fell to them. That's the Colt Miller draft in 2018. I think they're pretty good on the outside, not so much on the inside. Just like I said last year, I think you take Josh Jacobs and you run it up the gut and you do the short passing game, and I think you can get to this team. And hopefully Jimmy G can get that ball out quick, because he's going to get broken in half if he doesn't. I'm not so confident about stopping these guys. Let's see. Did we get Marcus Peters? Not yet. I have not heard anything about that. We could use him as far as the talent goes. I talked about that before. I really don't want the attitude. The Bills are like the Leaves. We're not talking about the Bills, we're talking about the AFC West one. Get that. So I think that's how you beat this team up the middle. And I talked about that last year. They really haven't done anything. I know they got Joseph Day in free agency last year. Not very good. And I see the low draft or low PFF grade. I would agree with that. They're exploitable up the gut. If we had an RPO solution, this is where if we would have ended up with a guy like Anthony Richardson, we could feast on this defense. They wouldn't know what the hell to do between him and Josh Jacobs. I think that's the same thing, but we're not there. I think we rely on the short passing game of Josh McDaniels and run it up the gut. Now let's get to that salary cap, courtesy of SpotTrack.com. And you look here, top 51, they got 13 million, give about another $1.5 million, $2 million for those last two players, top 53. They still have money. And this is why. This is why, guys. Look at this. Defense. That's where they're putting their money, because where's Herbert? Oh, he's way down here making $8 million. Are you kidding me? Because he's on a rookie contract. And that was one of the reasons we could have went the path to get a rookie starting and get him acclimated, and then you save a shitload of money instead of paying a veteran quarterback. We went with Jimmy G, who's relatively cheap, though, so it's not a huge deal as far as this goes, but you can see how they can afford not only to keep Khalil Mack, get him under the salary cap, but also go after guys like J.C. Jackson, if you see here, and keep Joey Bosa. So defense is going to be tough. This is probably one of the more complete teams before. The coaching sucks. Brandon Staley sucks. What are they going to do with Austin Eckler? I'm not so concerned. I'm not so confident of the guys they have. Isaiah Spiller, they drafted him last year. Unproven. Are they going to go out and get a guy like Dalvin Cook then? Because $13 million, that can do the job. Now, Dalvin Cook, Minnesota Vikings. I'm thinking it's going to be about $8 or $10 million to get this guy as far as salary cap for this year. He's going to be cut June 1st. Everybody knows it. He's even been taken off Twitter, off of the Vikings Twitter account in the picture, and that was a big to-do. So could he be coming to the Chargers and Eckler be gone? Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen June 1st, rather. So they do have the money for that. That could be a problem for us, to be honest with you, because I still think Dalvin Cook has some left in the tank. All right, let's get to our last team. Last but not least, Denver Broncos. I remember last year, Nathaniel Hackett was the head coach, and I made fun of it, and I made fun of getting an old man in Russell Wilson. And a lot of people said, well, they're going to be tough. And not so much. 5-11, they did worse than we did. Of course, one and done for Hackett. He's gone. In comes Sean Payton, former stud as far as head coach from the Saints. Great record, almost a 6-7% win percentage. It's like 64, I think, or something. Won a Super Bowl with the Saints, of course, with Drew Brees. Can he revive the magic with Russell Wilson? Now, of course, the whole staffing changes with that. They got a new regime. It is what it is. Now, one of the things, though, is I talked about is that they gave a shitload of draft capital up. They gave a first and a second to the Saints to acquire him because he was technically still under contract with the Saints, and they did the same thing to get Russell Wilson. So you pay the price. It's a gamble. We're going to see how it works out. Not so sure, and I will give my opinion here in a second. As far as the losses go, let's get to those losses. They are in red. Draymond Jones, not a big fan anyway. He's okay. Latavius Murray, so what? Not real concerned about the losses here, to be honest with you. I want to get to these signings. A couple of these I want to talk about. Ben Powers, former Baltimore Raven, above average guard, and McGlinchey, a guy who we were targeting. I know we were targeting him in 2018. 49ers came up and poached us, and the Gruden-Mayock regime crapped their pants, moved back, and ended up getting Colton Miller. Now, McGlinchey looked good early, not so much late, plus he's had a lot of injury concerns, but they are trying to bolster this offensive line for Russell Wilson, and it was terrible last year. And I said this the year before, because 2 years before that, they had a young offensive line, looked good, and I said I think they played a little over their head, and they did, and we'll look at those PFF grades in a minute. Now, Javonte Williams had an ACL injury about mid-season, and they picked up Samaje Perine from Cincinnati Bengals, back up to Joe Mixon. Did pretty good when he had to come in for Joe Mixon when he was banged up. Not so sure he can handle a full load, number one. Number two, I know Javonte's going to be back, but ACL injury, when's he going to be back? It's going to be on the back half of the season, number one. Number two, it usually takes about a year for them to get 100%. Look at Saquon Barkley. There are exceptions, Adrian Peterson, but for the most part, especially running backs, takes a while to get back into good shape and back to 100%. Of course, Jared Stidham, we talked about that earlier. 1 year, $5 million deal. Well, good for him. He had played those last two games and got paid as far as the backbook goes. So, let's see. Departures, Glasgow, not so good. And I mentioned that before. Chase Edmonds, they got him from Arizona. No big loss here. As far as the draft goes, Marvin Mims, another wide receiver. That was our first pick. Damn, first round pick. We already talked about that. Second round, there's been a lot of talk about, are they going to get rid of Cortland Sutton? Are they going to get rid of Tim Patrick? Jerry Jeudy? As far as this goes right now, they are still on the team. So we'll look here in a minute at salary cap, and I'll kind of explain why. Riley Moss, Drew Sanders, absolute stud. I would have loved to have gotten that guy. He went in the third round. That's absolute larceny. He should probably have been a high to mid second round pick, to be honest with you. And he's already wowing in camp. They had a rookie camp just like we did. Let's go here. Let's look at. I want to look at the rosters. I want to look at the schedule here, guys. A couple things to note. They got to play the Chiefs 2 out of 3 weeks. Who are the schedule makers? I mean, I'd be pissed if I'm Denver. I mean, look at this. The Jets aren't a half bad team. Packers post Aaron Rodgers. I'm not so sure about Jordan Love. Bears are kind of on the rise. Miami is a team that could surprise a lot of people. Commanders, we'll see. We'll see with Robinson who can run the ball. Of course, they got us opening week. But that could be the death knell. That could be the death knell. Boom, they go into that bye week. They could be 2-6, 3-5. It's all over. And then they get the Bills in Orchard Park. Oh, good luck. And then the Vikings. Oh boy, Browns are going to be good as well. I think another year with Deshaun Watson, full year. I think there's going to be some good stuff there. Chubb's probably going to feast, as we'll get to my weaknesses with them. Bounty, the quicker picker-upper. Yeah, J.C. Jackson. Detroit again. Did they play a little over their head? They're still pretty good. I think they play a little over their head. They'll probably come down a little bit. And then they got the Chargers and the Raiders again. It's not going to be easy for Denver. I do think they'll be a little better with Sean Payton. Might take a little bit of time. Let's get to the roster of the Denver Broncos. Of course, they run a 3-4 as well, just like the Chargers. We're going to get to the offensive side of the ball first. Of course, Cortland Sutton, absolute stud, beats us up. He's like 6'4", 220. I was hoping to God we'd get a big corner to cover him. Didn't do it. So our smaller corners, Amik, if he's still here, Nate Hobbs, they're going to get bullied at the line. Same thing with Tim Patrick. I wouldn't put Casey Hamler here. I would probably put Patrick over Hamler. I know Hamler's smaller and quicker, but they can pound you. They can beat you. Jerry Jeudy, is he going to still be on the team? Can he catch? He keeps dropping balls. So Dulcich, they got an early, I think third round pick for this guy last year. Like I said, McGlinchey, Cushenberry fell to earth just like I thought he would. Garrett Bowles is still a stud. I've said that before. I think he's a fixture there at left tackle. That's going to be a very interesting matchup to watch there, as always with Max Crosby. And then they got Javonte Williams here. Do they know he tore his ACL? He's not going to start week 1. It's going to be Samaje Perine. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I don't think he's going to come back. I don't think he's going to be 100%. I think the way to beat this team is just to play to what the strengths are, and that is just stopping this run. Perrine can do some damage if he gets enough carries. Wilson's not the stud he was before, and I said that before. He's not the MVP, used to be, but that's okay. Still a pretty good quarterback. I think with Sean Payton, I'm worried about getting out coached with Josh McDaniels' side. I mean, we had Jeff Saturday, and an offensive coordinator never called a game in Indianapolis, out-coached Josh McDaniels and Patrick Graham. This worries me. And like I said, I think this is the first time in, 4 seasons that Denver beats us. I think we're going to split. We play in the first game of the year and last game of the regular season as well. I said we're going to win the first one in Denver. A lot of people have it flip-flop. You can do it either way. I think that's probably going to be the case this year. And this defense, let's get to the defense here. A little similar, not quite as good as the Chargers in my opinion. They're good, better on the outside. The inside I am not impressed with, to be honest with you. Now they're going to have Drew Sanders in here. That's going to help, or it's going to bolster it up. So it's good for them. Secondary is very, very good. I think you run the ball inside with this team. Again, I think we've shown the propensity to do that, not only from an offensive line standpoint, but of course Josh Jacobs. I'm hoping we can get a long-term deal with this guy. Of course, we're going to have him on the franchise tag. I think they have until July 17th to get a long-term deal. Otherwise, it's just a one-year deal. So I want him happy. If we're going to keep him, make him happy, and he can mow down this Denver Broncos team. I'm 6'4", can run a 4.4, weigh 250. You should have played football, Psycho Jackal. With the right seasoning, those combines, you might have been able to be picked up. Oh well. 0-17. Who? Denver? It's not gonna be the Raiders. Like I said, I think it's similar to the Chargers. You beat them up the middle. Their strength is on the outside. Now let's get to the salary cap here. Top 51. They're a little under 10 million. They do have some significant money, of course. Russell Wilson, a lot of cap expense. This is why they were saying a lot of things with Cortland Sutton. Now I looked at the numbers, the cut numbers after June 1st. There's not much difference. So with Cortland Sutton, I think they're stuck with him at least till next year. I think the dead cap space is only 4 or 5 million in 24. So if they want to flat out cut him, then they can. I think he's going to be here another season. And I think this is going to be a work in progress. And I think Sean Payton understands that. And especially with their future stud, Javonte Williams, he's not going to be 100% this year. Look to 2024. Same thing with J.K. Dobbins with Baltimore 2 years ago. This is going to be his year to step up and get back into the swing of things. Let's see. Justin Simmons, another stud. Bulls, their best offensive lineman, of course. Randy Gregory, I think that was kind of a bust. Had some off-the-field issues, of course. Got drafted by Dallas. Did a little well. Came here. I don't think he's worth the money. So I do think they have a little bit of money to spend at the defensive tackle position if they so choose. I think that would probably be wise of them. Maybe go after a running back, but again, they have Javonte. If they're going to get a 1-year rental, who knows? Could Zeke Elliott be here? I don't know. I think Zeke's probably going to go to Arizona. Let's see. Caleb will make up for Josh. Oh, what, in 24? We're just going to throw away the season now? McDerp. We're not going to go 0-17. I talked about this last week. A lot of people got on my case. I had us going 9-8. Maybe a little optimistic, but we're not going 0-17. Even if we go 6-11 again, we're going to be, what, 6th, 7th pick. There's no way we can get Caleb Williams there. So that's what I have as far as this goes. Now, as far as the predictions go, we'll get to that in a minute here. Switch this over. Whoop. Whoop. I don't know why that moved. There we go. As far as predictions go, I got to be realistic. I think the Chiefs are the king of the mountain. I think they're the best team right now. Even with the moves they make, they have good personnel decisions, quality coaching, and good players, and it's shown. And until somebody can knock them off, I can't say that they're not going to be at that top of the mountain when we get to the end of this regular season. That said, I'm going to come out with a little bold prediction. I think Denver and the Raiders are going to fight for second place. I think the Chargers, I said this before last year with Denver, I wasn't impressed with Hackett. I'm not impressed with Staley. I think the wheels could very well fall off here, especially if Austin Eckler goes. They're going to be in trouble. They got a tough schedule. I could see the Chargers being in dead last, and then with the Raiders in Denver probably fighting for 2 and 3. Not to say that they're going to make the playoffs per se. It'll be close, maybe a fringe. I know we got 7 playoff teams now in each conference, but I think this division's the Chiefs, and it will be at least for another year, and then we'll go see about that. So what say you? I want to hear what you guys have to say. That's my question. Can anybody stop KC in the West? I don't think so this year. Zero Sum says Adams gets traded before the deadline. Why? Because we got Jacoby Myers? Maybe. Because he's upset. I mean, it's like, get over it. Seriously, dude. If the rumors are true. I don't know if it is true or not. I mean, to be fair, Derek Carr did not play that great last year. I mean, 14 interceptions, so Bosa, I think he meant Bosa there. Bosa's going to eat Jimmy. Yeah, and I said that. I believe I said that in the I believe I said that last week in our predictions one. I go, it's a Jimmy G watch. This game's a Jimmy G watch in SoFi Stadium. He could be busted in half after that game. And we know how when Joey Bosa gets on a roll and he's healthy, look out. And you got Khalil Mack there too. Look out. I'm just saying, look out. Tight end, Raiders is good. Thumbs up, I'm happy. Oh, Mayer looks pretty good. The Dave Casper clone, a lot of people say, baby Gronk. We talked about that last week. But he hasn't signed yet. I think he will. I think him and Jacoby and Bennett are the only two, I believe, that have not signed their rookie contracts yet. Tyree Wilson has. Byron Young has. Some of the day 3 guys have signed. All signed. I think those are the only 2 left. Art White says Chiefs are the top dog. Yeah, and I got to be real here, and they are. And I'm hoping that they're worn down enough. That first game when they come to Vegas after the Eagles, and they have that long trip to Miami. I know they got a bye week. But still, that's going to be kind of rough. And then they got to play the Eagles after that on Monday Night Football. So technically a short week, a day shorter. They come play us the next Sunday. If we're going to get a win against these guys, it's got to be them. I don't see us getting a win on Christmas Day on nationally televised game against this team. There's no chance in hell. So, let's see. Let me, you guys want to chat? We won't be competing for the West. Hey, Husker, how you doing out there? I see you out there. LOL, get my Christmas. Aiden O'Connell. Now, last week, if you weren't here, we did our predictions, both mine and your guys'. As you guys had consensus. One of them was Art Witt, Christmas Day win against the Chiefs. I said 101 shot. If he gets that one right, he wins the pick'em, the prediction. Just on that, I don't care what he does. Other than that, that would be a heck of a poll. Let's see. Let me get there. Hang on one second. If If you do want to come on and chat live, you can. I will be opening it. Hang on. I don't know why it shut. It shut down on me. I got to reopen it. Give me 1 second. It is in the pinned comment. The link, you click on that. You go into the green room. You don't have to use your camera. You come in. You want to talk about Raider football. You want to talk about my predictions, both last week with the Raiders and then right now with the way I think the division is going to shake out. I don't think it's very bold to say the Chiefs are going to win the division. I think it's rather bold to say that the Chargers are going to finish dead last. I think that's rather bold, especially how things turned out last time as far as Denver Broncos goes. But it's a new season. I think Sean Payton's a good coach. Was not impressed with Hackett again. I could see that one kind of coming. But I think they will improve. I think they're going to be better. Were they 5-12 last year? They'll probably get 7 or 8 wins in my guess. Denver, including split with us. Finally, they're going to beat us. Like I said last week, Denver has never beaten the Las Vegas Raiders. Denver has never beaten the Las Vegas Raiders. Last time they beat us, they were the Oakland Raiders. So I think that changes this year. We usually play them tight anyway, so the coaching could be the difference. Do I trust McDaniels against Sean Payton? I don't know. Paul Gaines says, yes, there's a chance we could be on Christmas. We could win on Christmas, I believe he means. Well, anything's possible. I mean, we go 17-0, then anything's possible. But I mean, what's probable? I mean, I don't see it, guys. I don't see the probability of this. Do you see the Chiefs just folding up? Do you see them at home on Christmas Day in front of the world against their rivals, just folding it up? It would take a miracle. It would take some turnovers. Maybe the weather's so bad that Josh Jacobs, we can just run the ball like crazy against them and maybe get a turnover or two, a couple fumbles, and kick a field goal, maybe, but that's a big ask. That is a huge ask. I think getting them in that first game after they play the NFC champs in that Super Bowl rematch the week before, I think that makes more sense to me if we're going to win one of these games. Let's see if anybody want to come on board. Let me see. Anybody want to come on board? Let's get that out. There it is right there. If you want to come on board, we'll open it up. I'll get you on here. Again, you do not have to be on camera. Just get your microphone ready. You go in the green room. You pick your username. Again, it is in the pinned comment. Also, we also have a live poll, kind of along the lines of what I asked before as far as the division goes. I asked, what are the chances the Raiders are going to win this division? Half of you said 25%, and we need another year. And then a quarter of you said 50%, 50-50. I'm in the 25%. I mean, unless Mahomes gets hurt for the year, I don't see the Chiefs not winning the division from any of these. I don't see any of the other 3 teams putting up much of a fight, let's be honest. Probably the Chargers could as far as on paper, but the coaching sucks. I think Denver is a little bit. They're probably another year right now. It's gonna take Sean Payton another year. Javonte Williams, get him back in 24. They're gonna be a threat. They're gonna be a threat in 24. They can very well make the playoffs in 24. Denver Broncos. So be very interesting what they do the year after as far as free agency, the draft as well. But I think this year for them is a mulligan, the first year of the new regime, kind of like us last season. Let's see. What say you? What say you? If you want to come on board, what say you? Let's see. Psycho Jackal says, weather as bad as the Steelers games where genius Josh decided to throw the ball a lot. Yeah, that didn't make any sense whatsoever. Of course, the bugaboo with Derek Carr that he can't win cold weather games. He didn't play that well. Let's be honest. I don't know why we weren't leaning on the running game. Or where's Zamir White? You moved up to get this guy. Why aren't you putting him out here? I mean, we were at the point where we were on the very, very fringe. If I think mathematically we could have made the playoffs, but realistically we weren't going to go anywhere. Why didn't you get Zamir White some carries? I mean, geez, are you kidding me with this? So Pickett's going to have another year. We don't play Pittsburgh we do play Pittsburgh this year. So Kenny Pickett's going to have another year. Najee Harris, George Pickens had a pretty good rookie season. That's gonna be another interesting game as far as our schedule goes. So let's see. Again, if you want to come on, I'm right here. So another thing I want to talk about, it's in the pinned comment. And just click on that link. I'm just putting it on there. Another thing I want to talk about before we move on. Well, I'm waiting for you guys with your comments. If you want to come on the join the live, all that. A few things. I did say in the scrolling banner here, as far as our rundown goes, channel updates now. Next week I will not be here. I'll be back in 2 weeks. I will not be here next Friday. 3 reasons basically. Number one, I got some personal things going on. I will not physically be able to be here Friday evening, and I got some things going on personally. No worries, but that's number one. Number two, not a whole lot going on right now. Not until minicamp, which is in early June anyway, to be honest. And we've talked about everything we want to talk about. We talked about the schedule. We talked about the draft picks. We talked about the other teams in the division. And number 3, I got to say it, the channel is kind of going through a flux right now. It was growing there for a while, last couple of months, and then it kind of flatlined again. So I'm not really doing anything different. I don't know what's with YouTube. Doesn't really matter. 2 weeks, we'll make some changes. But again, like last season, I came up with all the graphics and stuff. Frankly, I don't really have a whole lot of time to put towards this because I have another project that I'm doing. I do a TikTok channel for like gaming and trivia. I put the link in the description if you want to check that out. If you're down with that, that's fine. If not, that's cool. But I think that one's growing much better than this one. I started it later than I started this channel, and I've got almost 3 times more followers or / subs than this channel does. So whatever the reason, if I don't appeal to the fan base, if YouTube's banning me, it doesn't really matter. The important point is I'm still doing this. I'm gonna still do this. It's kind of like when you have a show on TV, right, and it doesn't get the ratings, what happens? It gets canceled, right? I'm not gonna call it a cancellation. I'm gonna say we're gonna go to syndication. So I can't put as much time and effort into this without it growing, without seeing anything positive from it. Not just like, grab money and all that. I mean, it would be nice to get, monetary support, for the work. That's great. Like other YouTube channels do here doing Raider content, but it just mentally too. I mean, you do all this work and it's like, what's the point of it? So I'm going to be taking a step back. Like I said before, 2 weeks I'll be back. We'll talk a little bit, some camp news, maybe some coming up. Might do some different formatting, maybe some fantasy football. I know some of you have asked about that. Could possibly talk about that, going open to that, not just Raider content, because frankly, the channel's not growing. So something's got to happen, whether the channel's dead, killed it, or limit the scope, or go to, expand it to other things. Something has to happen. We can't do the same thing and expect different results, right? It's definition of insanity. So, Officer Rollout says, did you say Dalvin Cook to the Chargers? Keeper no more. Well, Officer Rollout and I are in a fantasy league together. I'll just say that. And I do have Dalvin Cook on my team. So, Dalvin Cook's not going to be a Minnesota Viking next season. That's the way it is. Alexander Madison looks like he will be the starter for this team. They did go get McGuire, I think, on the 7th round. So, but we looked at McGuire in our mock drafts. I mean, could he take the job? Maybe. But Madison has done pretty well when Cook has been hurt. If you're a fantasy fan, you've looked at it. I'm a fantasy fan. I have Dalvin Cook on my team for years. I think I picked him up when he was a rookie. So when I usually get Madison in the draft, pick him up to back him up, and it works. It works out pretty well for me. So that said, Cook's going to go somewhere. I think he's going to get released after June 1st. If you look at the cap numbers, that makes sense for the Vikings. Where he goes, who knows? I think I said maybe the Chargers. I really think if I had to put money on it, I would say the Chicago Bears. Chicago Bears, they have Deontay Foreman. Khalil Herbert's a little small. I don't think he can take the full load with that running schedule. Plus, it's a rival. Plus, the Bears have a ton of cap space, like $30 million. So that'd be a little coup, and then he can kind of stick it to the Vikings twice a year. So that's what I said about Dalvin Cook. So a lot of things in flux. I'm saying if I had to be a betting man as far as the Chargers situation, I think Eckler's going to be there another season. They were probably trying to move him. They couldn't move him. It's really hard to move running backs. If you haven't noticed, there's just not a huge demand, and the lifespan's too short. So why pay all that money in draft capital for it, So I think he'll be there begrudgingly next season. And then you got Zeke Elliott in the mix as well. Tony Pollard, they franchise tagged him. They have until July to do a long-term deal. I think they will get a probably 2-3 year deal, 4-year deal with Tony Pollard. Guy's been a stud. If you look, over 5.5 yards per carry. Been kind of the bell cow. Zeke kind of faded in the shadows. Where's Zeke going to go? Who knows? Maybe Chicago. They have the cap space if they want him. Like I said, maybe like Emmitt Smith, go to Arizona after Dallas. Be very interesting. They could use a running back. I don't think he'll command the same type of money that Dalvin will, but it is what it is. Raider Wolf says, "Oh man, oh hang on, my yeah, let's connect it. My little I have a little program called Twidget." And it's what shows your comments on there. I know it's good. It's very interactive. So sometimes I don't know if it times out or what. So Raider Wolf says, "Oh man, well it is what it is." And you know what? I do this because I like it, but I also do this because of you guys. I have a lot of kind of core followers, the week to week guys like you, like Art White right here, Psycho Jackal. Officer Rollout. I've got a lot of guys. Al's Ghost is usually in here when he can be in here. A lot of guys in here. Husker likes to be in here. I see him a lot. Paul is in here as well. So, yeah, I mean, that's reason. But like I said, I can't do a lot of things that I want to do. If this isn't going to take off, I need to take that energy and put it to the other channel I'm doing, because that's taking off, that's improving. I see more of a future there. It wouldn't make any sense to put a lot of time and effort into this channel if it's not going to grow. So I've been doing this over 2 years, and I'm not at 1,000 yet. I have no idea why. It's absolutely ridiculous. I don't want to like get on a pity party and like whine about it, but it's not right. And for whatever reason, again, if it's YouTube doing it for a certain reason or what, it doesn't really matter what the reason is at this point. What matters is being efficient. If it means going to this other project and putting more time into it, and so be it. I will do this one, but it's going to be in a reduced capacity. Like last year, I did a lot of graphics. If you notice, with this one, I just took stuff off of Wikipedia and just talked to it. A lot of people do that. I do the graphics. I did a lot. Look at the one last year. I did a State of the Division series in 2022, completely different. Why? I don't have time for that. I have a live stream tomorrow on this other channel that's growing, and I want to put more time into that because I think there's more potential there. But I will still do this again. Maybe we'll get a little more into fantasy if we want to do that. But damn, dude, I don't do the TikTok stuff. I barely have Twitter. Well, I honestly, TikTok kind of gets a bad name. There is some legitimacy to the issues there. I'm not gonna have. I've had some problems with TikTok on that channel with certain things I've done. But this whole thing about, oh, they're Chinese, they're spying. Facebook had to pay what, $1 billion for spying. So, if you're worried about spying, don't go on social media. That's number one. Whether it's Facebook, Twitter, I know Elon has it or whatever, but you don't think they've archived all your stuff? I mean, come on. If you're looking at it from that side, yeah. But TikTok's a different animal now. I have simulcasted on this channel with TikTok, and I quit doing it because, frankly, nobody watches unless it's during the games. It's a very quick live kind of thing, and go. It's not like like this is like a, pardon the interruption, like a sports kind of a program. That doesn't work there. So let's see. Maybe not. Maybe promote on. Oh, you said maybe. Ray Wolf says maybe promote on your channel. It's a different thing. It's like trivia and stuff. It's a different genre. It doesn't really cross over. And like I said, I put a link in there if you want to go there tomorrow night, 7 o'clock Pacific. We'll be doing like a game. It's going to be very interesting. Something I haven't done before. But if you're into that, that's great. But to me, it's like a Venn diagram. How many Raider fans are going to be with that as well? I think it's very little. But if you want, go for it. Go for it. So CCP trying to get again. I mean, Facebook, American owned, and they're getting you. I mean, they've had to pay fines for doing that, right? So, like I said, social media, they're going to get you one way or the other if you're worried about that. So anyway, we are at 1 hour. Like I said, we're at 8:02. You can see it down here. We're at 1 hour right now. I usually go about an hour. If you have any other comments, we'll finish this off. I want to thank you guys for coming out. Again, 2 weeks from now, we'll not be here next Friday for the reasons already stated. And then 2 weeks from now, we'll have kind of an update. We'll talk about maybe a little bit of camp news, any kind of rumors. Maybe if Marcus Peters signs, that would be interesting. I'm a little concerned with how this coaching staff is going to be able to contain him. The talent's there, but so is the attitude. He's cousins with Marshawn Lynch. He has attitude, right? But that was a different era. John Gruden, that made more sense to me because Gruden's more of a player type of coach that could handle it. I think that's probably why he tried to give Antonio Brown a whirl, but Antonio Brown's too far gone. Burfict scrambled his brain, and that was that. I mean, when you're telling off Tom Brady and the Bucks, you're gone. You're gone. Who are you? Who are you to say anything to Tom Brady and the Buccaneers who just won a Super Bowl? It's ridiculous. So, that's why I have my reservations about Marcus Peters. Can this coaching staff control him? And you're in Vegas again. And again, with this, you got the Vegas factor here. That's why I didn't want Jordan. I was going to say Jordan Davis, the other guy. But anyway, let's see. What are your comments? You got any more comments? If you got any more comments, let's see. I'm looking at my thing. Let's see. Last comment here. Officer Rollout says, the only thing I would do on TikTok is dance on Jackson's head with my nightstick while wearing a oh my gosh, Sean Taylor jersey. Oh my gosh. Oh man, Sean Taylor. Yeah, it's a shame what happened to him. Let's see. Are you Psycho says, are you close San Diego? Wish Chargers never left. So I go Raiders Charger game. Love that half, not more. Raider fans fill the stadium. Well, you get that in SoFi Stadium in LA now, in Inglewood. That happens too. So the Chargers, I think they kind of, the Spanos family. I'm not in San Diego. I was in Southern California. I moved up north, so I'm a ways from them now. But as far as the Spanos family goes with the Chargers, they handled that situation very terribly. They wanted a new stadium, Jack Murphy, Qualcomm, whatever you want to call it. Kind of run down. It's demolished now, where they used to play in San Diego. And then they kind of made it known, like, either you give it to us or screw you, we're leaving. And then that whole thing kind of triggered some things. And then the Rams wanted to come back from St. Louis. And then the Raiders wanted to come back here. They were talking about maybe San Diego. They were also talking about sharing a stadium with the Chargers, the Raiders, and Raiders moving to the NFC West so they could do it. Kind of like a similar situation where the Rams and Chargers had ended up. So, the Spanos family, I don't have any love for them. They don't care about people. It's kind of like Mark Davis. They care about making money. So piss on them. And I don't blame the homegrown San Diego Charger fans for turning their back on them. I mean, it's ridiculous. And then they come up here to LA. I mean, come on, Raider Nation's down here ever since Bo Jackson was playing in the 80s. Come on. And then you get the Rams back. They win a title. They're third in line, in my opinion, after those teams. So, it is what it is. So, anyway, with that said, I want to thank you guys for coming out. Raider Wolf, my opinion is here. My opinion giving me some trouble during my my predictions. Didn't like my predictions. I was too nice. Would you like Brady as a Raider owner? Honestly, in this situation, it doesn't matter. He'd be a minority owner. Wouldn't technically do anything with the team. I'm sure McDaniels would bring him in and, schmooze with the quarterbacks and all that crap. But technically, no. Not like I like Tom Brady. The whole Tuck rule thing. Every Raider fan's got to have a bad taste in their mouth on that. But I blame more the league. The league rigged it. They screwed us over. That was a fumble. It was called a fumble on the field. And then all of a sudden, they got a call from New York. We got to change this. We got to get the Patriots in. Patriots should have lost that game. Raiders should have moved on. We got screwed. Now, Brady playing off, oh no, I was throwing it. He was full of crap. But you know what? Refs let him get away with it. The league let him get away with it. So, I don't love Brady, but I don't completely blame him either. So, and that's kind of water in the bridge. I know Charles Woodson feels the same way. So, I'm good with it too as well. Big move, but once we get settled the collaboration, yeah, let's do it. Roll out. We can do a little fantasy. I know you like to act like you know something about fantasy there. Roll out. But that would be very interesting. I mean, that fantasy league I'm in with Officer Rollout. By the way, I was Damar Hamlin shot that stoppage and cancel of the game cost me the championship. I'm just gonna say it. I had Gabe Davis. I needed 5 points. He gave me a touchdown. I win the championship. So it is what it is. I'm kind of over it now. I'm looking for this year to get some redemption. Casey has a weaker backfield. I don't think so, my opinion. Pacheco really kind of came out this year. Clyde Edwards-Helaire lost his job. First round pick. Got outplayed. And McKinnon can still catch the ball. He's one of the best. He was doing that, Seattle, Minnesota. He can still do it. So let's not underestimate them. So I bet he'd be on Marky Marks here about how good. Maybe he can learn. Maybe McDaniels can learn a thing or two. Let's be honest. I mean, the coaching subpar on both sides. Graham too. If we get a replay of this like we did last season, Graham's gonna be fired. It's gonna be like Brandon Staley did this year. He got rid of his offensive coordinator, had him fall on his sword for Staley's crap. Let's be honest. Brady is a household name, though. It doesn't matter about the crypto. He's on all those commercials. I know he had to give half his money to Giselle and the settlement, I'm sure. I know nothing about fantasy. Sorry about that. But I mean, I want to be honest with you guys. I mean, from now until we got mini camp, June 6th it starts. now until probably training camp, not a whole lot going on. Let's be honest, unless we sign somebody big, not a whole lot going on until late July. And then we get in the preseason in August. So again, this year we only got 3 preseason games. We don't have the Hall of Fame game, 3 preseason games. So got to do something else. I mean, I'm not going to come out here and have breaking news. We signed a wide receiver that's not even going to make the team. You know, that's not my play. If you want to do fantasy, I'm so down. We'll come back. Maybe we'll do. I'll do some Raider news in 2 weeks. Maybe do some fantasy too. Stay tuned. 2 weeks. Next week I will not be here. 2 weeks. Friday I will be here. I mean, oh, the defensive backfield, KC. Their linebackers are pretty darn good. I mean, you got Bolton, who is a early draft pick, a middle linebacker. I believe they moved him to the will. Don't underestimate them. I think top to bottom, they probably got the best defense in the division. Top to bottom. Let's see. I know they lost Juan Thornhill in free agency. Let's see. Became a Raider fan when I was 14. Went to a Raiders party, got wasted, and something else. And that's another thing, Psycho Jackal. If you go on TikTok and you say certain things like that L word, you could get in trouble. It's weird. It's weird there. But on the flip side, if you want to play music, like copywritten music, play it to your heart's content. Nobody cares. If I do that here on YouTube, they'll shut my live stream down. Or give me a copyright strike or whatever. I show 3 seconds of the friggin' combine. I got a copyright hit. Those videos I showed during the combine. Bam. At my age, it's all a fantasy. Okay. Okay, with that, guys, that was good. So see you guys back in 2 weeks. Thanks for supporting the channel. Again, I wish it would grow. I'm like a farmer. I've got rows of potatoes, tomatoes, corn. You know, the potatoes are growing, the tomatoes aren't growing here, so I gotta focus more on the potato fields here. So I will be here 2 weeks from now, and stay tuned. With that said, go Raiders.
Ask you something. With all the distractions that you have off the field, how are you able to keep focused on winning football games as you do and do throughout the year?
When you have great coaches, then after you have great coaches, you get great players. You have a great organization, and you tell them one thing: just win, baby.